Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome into O'Neill's Grill for our fan and press luncheon that continues on as the college basketball season continues for the JMU women's basketball Dukes. Again, good afternoon. Happy spring, everyone. My name's Kurt Dudley from Athletics Communications. And our lineup today, we will have Coach O'Regan of JMU women's basketball, and he'll be followed by Coach Shelley Clays-Balkum, head coach of the JMU lacrosse Dukes. Lacrosse has a couple of very big home matches this weekend. We'll talk about that a little later. Some other JMU spring sports updates for you before we turn our attention to basketball. The softball Dukes 23-3. They open up CA play this weekend at Hofstra, so they still have yet to play a home game. Hopefully a week from Wednesday, they'll have their first home games against Virginia Tech, the opponent. Megan Good, a five-time CAA Pitcher of the Week. She leads the nation in ERA at .2. She has 11 shutouts, which also leads the land, and she is 16-0. Her 16 victories tops in Division I. Morgan Toll is the CA Player of the Week. She's 7-for-11 as the Dukes blank Binghamton 6-0, Buffalo 3-0, and Maryland 8-0 this past weekend. Again, Morgan, a first baseman this year, her senior year. Baseball Dukes off to a 14-4 record. They took 3 out of 4 at home this weekend over New Jersey Institute of Technology, highlighted by Fox Simons, who was this week the CAA Rookie of the Week, as he went 7 for 3 in the series. The Dukes are at Liberty today. That's a 3 o'clock start. You can see that game on ESPN3 and the Big South Network. And they host Delaware to open up CAA play this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, single games. Outdoor track and field open up this weekend. The Dukes won 7 events at the VCU Ram Invitational in Richmond, highlighted by Kennedy King's wins in the 100 and 200-yard dash events. And the Dukes, they have 2 home meets next month, April the 15th and again April the 22nd. Both tennis teams finally get their home openers this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Both are entertaining. The Pride of Hofstra and the CAA. Women are 9-5. The men are 5-6. Women's golf, most recently 12th out of 14 at the 3M Augusta Invite. Men, Ryan Cole was the CA Player of the Week last week. He led the Dukes to a 4th place finish among 14 at the FSU, that's Florida State Seminole Intercollegiate. He tied for 5th among 81 entries. A week ago today, we're not here because of a snow day, but it still did not dampen the spirits of the giving as JMU's Giving Day last Tuesday. I want to thank everybody on behalf of the Duke Club and James Madison University for your generosity. The Duke Club last week had 899 donors and raised $224,000. Now, it was a little shy of the goal of $250,000, but that's about 7.5 scholarships. So we do appreciate your support there. As a university, they surpassed their goals by whopping margins. They had 4,349 total gifts, for a total of $610,000, nearly $611,000. So again, thank you for your generosity in supporting James Madison University. Madison has a very busy week. We will be on site for events Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The Sunday will depend on some other events this week and the outcome of those, most notably women's basketball. Once again, a reminder, softball, baseball, lacrosse, admission is free. I'll talk a little bit more about lacrosse when we bring up Coach Clays-Balkum in just a few moments. Women's basketball, the Dukes 26-8, advancing to the 3rd round of the WNIT for the 3rd consecutive time and for the 5th time overall. This is their 7th overall WNIT appearance. Villanova, the opponent for Thursday, will come in with a record of 18-14. They advance with a couple of road victories, beating Princeton and Drexel, respective scores 59-53 and 56-51, so obviously very low scoring. They average about 8 threes a game. They score 61 points per contest. They do have a -5 rebounding margin. And the only common foe other than Drexel is St. John's. JMU lost to St. John's. And the Wildcats beat St. John's 2 out of 3. They lost to them in the Big East tournament. Alex Lewin and Adriana Hahn average 12.8 points per game. Lewin averages 5.4 rebounds and a little over 3 assists per game. She seems to be the real deal for them. Precious Hall comes into Thursday night's game with 2,311 points. Still ranks 4th all time in the CAA, but she did break Dawn Evans' single-season scoring record. That happened this past weekend. She'll come into Thursday's game with 805 points this year. She's been filling it up quite a bit. Tickets are available, $10 for youth, senior citizens, and faculty and staff for general admission. General admission to the general public is $12, and reserve seats are $15. You can get those now online, jmutickets.com. Stop by the JMU ticket office, or you can call 568-3853. That's 540 area code. And students, you get admitted free with a Jack card. You got a Jack card, you get to come in free, okay? If it is a valid Jack card. I don't know why we have to qualify it, but we do say a valid Jack card. So, Mr. Hale, if you have one, you can't get in with that, okay? Or you neither, Dave Thomas. I hear him chuckling over here. All right, let's get on to women's basketball. Let's bring in the head coach of the Dukes, having a pretty good first season, Sean O'Regan. Coach O'Regan, the podium is yours, sir.
Just starting off, I thought it was a really good weekend for us. Really fun weekend. Two in-state foes. You know, I think Radford's a really good team, very well coached, and we came out and played well with a really high level of confidence. And then I thought it was an absolute battle on Sunday. Game to be remembered for us, kind of going back and forth and battling back the way we did. So, you know, it was a fun weekend. Obviously. You know, proud of how we played, and looking forward to having a couple more.
I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, but I mean, when you guys had that 9-game winning streak up end of January through most of February, and it seemed like you kept talking about this loose confidence and whatnot. It seemed like after that William and Mary game, it kind of wavered a little bit. I mean, do you feel like you guys are back to that sort of level of loose confidence and really sort of playing without really thinking too much?
Yeah, I do. I think I didn't know. You know, I don't know if anybody knew how we were going to play after the Elon defeat. And that week is obviously how I'm going to approach this week, because whatever it was that we did worked. But yeah, I hope that's when we're at our best. Our best is when we're not thinking at all. We're not nervous. We don't feel pressure, and we're out here just having fun and enjoying each other and playing for each other. And that's what's worked for us all year. And I think it's the two games. It represents what we've been doing all year. I mean, Savannah starts and has a double-double on Friday night and can't get anything going on Sunday. You know, that's exactly how we've kind of been all year, is that it's a different group of players every night that show up, and it's my lovely job to figure out which five the best combination is. But you know, it's kind of who we are. But I think that is back. I hope it is back. But you know, the one thing I know is that you know, you think about how we celebrated. Okay, so we beat Virginia. There was no court storming. There was no. It was like, all right, business as usual. All right, we high five a little bit. We'll smile. But you know, I think the mindset is keep going and keep playing, and hopefully find a way to get all the way to the end of this thing.
Coach, through these two games, what have you been most pleased with that your team has done to get you these victories?
I thought our defensive pressure and our ability to – I really challenged them, especially in the Radford game, to really stay focused on the changing – we changed defenses a lot against Radford. We came out with the man-to-man press with the face guard. We switched to just a regular man-to-man run and jump press, and then we ended up going to a 2-2-1. And if we can't change on the fly, it would have flopped a lot of different ways. So, you know, I thought that was one thing. Our zone's been good to us, but I think defense is always something that, you know, you hold them both to under 60 points. And that allows you, you know, again, we go for 80 on Friday night. Great. You know, we're scoring the ball well, but, you know, 61 points against Virginia is just enough because we played good enough defense to hold them under 60. So that's something that I've always tried to hang our hat on all year, is our defense and our defensive intensity. But, you know, the other thing is, I thought they did play for each other. I thought they really celebrated each other. I mean, I throw them a curveball and start Savannah Felgemacher, and they're all looking at me kind of, all right, is they like the mad professor right now? What, you know, what's this move about, you know? And but they trust me and they trust each other, and you know, that's what I think separates us is the kind of playing for each other. I can't remember a tighter group. I'm sure there was, you know, in the last 9 years, but this group, they're not the most talented group that we've ever had, but they're an extremely tight group, and you know, I think it was, I don't know, a couple of games ago, Lexi had fouled out, and Ania says to her something along the lines of, "What are you doing over here? You're supposed to finish games. I start games, you finish games." And it's like, she's joking, of course, but that's kind of the mentality of what we brought. So that makes me very proud. But basketball-wise, it's the defense.
Coach, you mentioned on Sunday in the radio interview, it'd been a while since your team had been challenged that late in the game. What do you take away, especially from the younger players, on how they were able to deal with those situations?
Yeah, I watched the game, obviously, and I was impressed. There was, I think it was one of the final, it was right before Tasia got fouled. So it's a stop we needed in the half court. And, you know, I'm noting that we have two freshmen on the floor, in Kamaya and Lexi. Kamaya ends up running the shooter off the line. The kid misses the three. Lexi boxes out hard. We get a tip, and it ends up in Tasia's hands. And it's that experience right there, closing out Virginia at home for those two freshmen, and Logan, who's a sophomore, who everybody can say what they want. She feels like she's been here forever, but she hasn't. And that's the growth I'm hoping to get from them. And I've been really impressed with them. Kamaya, from responding about leaving the starting lineup and then coming back in, she's played well. You know, Lexi's our second leading scorer through the last two games. But I think kind of generating that kind of momentum and confidence. You know, I had a very stern talk with those two during one timeout, because I thought they were just tentative, and like, you belong here, okay? Like, you can play at this level, you know, go play and stop being tentative. And I think they've both done that, but I've been really impressed with how they've responded. But again, our younger mentality team, so to speak, I think that's long gone.
Can you further elaborate on how important this experience is going to be for Kamaya, Lexi, Logan come next November, next December?
Yeah, I think you know, for everybody, and obviously Precious has played well, but we wouldn't have won the last two games if our supporting cast didn't play well also. So that for them, and again, if you do the math, we haven't come close to releasing the schedule yet, but we're still playing that level of team again next year as we did this year. A lot of those are first-time series, so we have the return game either at home or on the road. So playing an ACC team at home Sunday, playing a Big East team who I think is really good on Thursday, those experiences I think will carry over. And you know, I think they've been through it now. They've seen it all now. They've all played in the championship game now. They've all dealt with that pressure or non-pressure, however they felt. I think you put all those experiences into your bag, and you can take from them. And the most important thing, I think, would be a growing level of confidence. And that's the most important thing, that you can play against anybody in the country and you're good enough. And that's what Kenny created here, was the mentality that you don't necessarily – you're not just out there to play the game. You're out there to win. You're out there to beat Florida State. You're out there to beat – whoever you're playing, Villanova, and the mentality is not just, hey, let's give it a try. It's, hey, we're going to go out there and win. And that mentality is something that has carried us to this point, I think, but hopefully gets instilled to that younger generation to carry forward, because Precious certainly has it.
You talked last week about the fact you weren't 100% sure if those younger players maybe felt extra pressure in the CAA tournament. Do you feel like that the pressure that was there has kind of come off their shoulders, and B, do you think that's allowed them maybe to play a little bit better these past two games than they did in the CAA tournament?
It's hard for me to speak if they felt pressure or not. I know they've played better, so it could have been a team. It could have been a team pressure. You know, I don't know. I don't get to see every step of the way. I don't get to see the locker room. I get to see what they do after pregame meal. That are they doing stuff differently because they feel that pressure? I don't know about that. But I like what they're playing now, and I think there is a sense in our our program and organization right now that this time is a time to really have fun and enjoy your team and enjoy the end of the road. That what I'm saying to them is I want you to play every game like it's your last game, so it's not your last game, and so go out there and play it like it's your last game. Like let it fly. There's nothing. We've had a successful season. No, I don't think anybody's going to argue our success. Now, I don't want to be satisfied with it, but go out there and enjoy each other and have fun. And when we do that, we're really good. So that formula to me works. But I don't know necessarily about the pressure. I know how we are right now, and we're out there having fun and enjoying each other.
Coach, how much of a challenge is it when you're a non-conference, you know your schedule ahead of time, you kind of can dig up information. Now that you're in tournament play, seeing teams you might not be that familiar with, how challenging is it for you and your staff to game plan, break down film, get as much information in short windows?
Yeah, it's more difficult, and you got to revert back to your first 5 games of the year. And even though you know who you're playing, you don't have calls. You don't know personnel as well. I mean, part of the benefit of me transitioning from an assistant to a head and not hiring a new head coach was really that I know Drexel like the back of my hand. I know Delaware. I know all those schools so well. Now, Virginia, yeah, we recruited some of those players. I know them a little bit, but I don't know, does she call a play every time down? Is it a verbal call? Is it so Villanova, same thing. We had Adriana Hahn and Alex Lewin down here on a recruiting visit, but I know when Drexel calls Kentucky special, I have a pretty good idea what they're going to do. I don't know exactly what Villanova, I don't know all those little details. So it's no greater challenge than we've had in the non-conference. It's just you have to shift gears and come back to really doing a little bit more extensive scouting to make sure you're as well prepared as you can be. But I kind of like it. It's a change. It's a challenge. As much as I love Denise, I'm glad we're not sitting here playing Drexel because I like the new challenge. I like the challenge of having a Big East team or a team we haven't played in here. I like that. I like that freshness.
I guess following up on that, what do you see out of Villanova that could pose a great challenge for you guys Thursday?
They're really good. They're balanced. They're very similar to Drexel in that their offense gets them most of their shots, but they're talented. I mean, Alex Lewin is pretty complete. Everybody will look at her shot release and wrinkle their face up a little bit because she shoots it with one hand, but she's capable of doing everything. She shoots a 3, she drives it, she posts up, she's a point guard. Their offense is as good an offense as I remember seeing. It reminds me a little bit of DePaul. In the Big East, because just they're constantly moving. They've got Jana Tucker. Jana Tucker was a pretty big-time recruit coming out of high school and signed with Tennessee. And then their bigs can shoot it too. So they're over 8 threes made per game. They don't shoot it great from 3, but I think that's because everybody's running them off the line all year long. They're very balanced. They're very good. I mean, Adriana Hahn, her father, I believe, is from Waynesboro. So, does she have a little extra pride coming down here? She's a great shooter. I've seen them. I'm very comfortable with them, but offensively, they're top notch. And it'll be a challenge for us. We're going to have to. It's similar to what I tell them with Drexel. We're going to have to score 75 points, I think. And that's really the goal is to kind of get them to play our tempo. They want to run offense for 25 seconds, and they're good offensively, but. I don't want to sit there and guard flare screens in the half court all day. But they're a really good team. I think I'm surprised watching them now that their season didn't go into the NCAA tournament because I can see how they're equipped for that. I mean, they're a very good basketball team.
I mean, I guess that being said, do you learn more from watching Villanova play Drexel than watching Villanova play Princeton?
Yeah, I learned. It was it's like mirror images playing each other, watching the Drexel game. But I was surprised. Yeah, I learned a lot from the Drexel game, but they're not necessarily going to play the same style we will. So it was like a chess match to me. It was like half court offense, back and forth. I learned a little bit more watching them play St. John's because again they got up, they pressured them a little bit more. Drexel didn't pressure them that much, so. what I like doing when I'm scouting is to take, I learned a little bit from the Drexel game. I learned a little bit from the St. John's game. I learned a little bit from the DePaul game, from the Marquette game. I've tried to dabble into each one of those because I think in scouting you try to find the team that plays like you the most and learn from that. Because again, we're going to try to get this thing going a little bit. Drexel, they want to bounce that thing up and run their 25 seconds. So I learned a little bit here, a little bit there.
Talk a little bit about Lex, because it seemed like, particularly Sunday, when she was actually on the court, she played very well, but the fouls kind of prevented that. What did you see going back on film from Sunday with Lexi and her performance?
I just think she's starting to realize who she is and who she can be, and I think it's a perfect time for her to spread her wings. And other than fouling a jump shooter, which she manages to do way too much, I swear she's fouled 5 jump shooters shooting a 3 this year, which makes me mad. But she does everything right, and everything she does. I'm like, yeah, okay, I see her intention there. And yeah, she got tripped up with a couple fouls, but I think she's growing up, and it's been great. Jazz Gwathmey practiced with us a couple times last week, and I put Lexi on her for the majority of the time and said, go guard her. If you can guard her, you can guard anybody, including Jocelyn Willoughby, including Dominique Toussaint. So her confidence is starting to really climb, and I hope it stays up there, because if you get Lexi Barrier confident, I think the sky's the limit for her.
Coach, in preparation and practice this late into the year, do you have to switch your routine to keep it fresh for the players, to keep them engaged, or do you have a certain way you do things and you kind of coach them along to staying into it?
No, I think late in the CAA season you get a little bit more of that. I think they'll be bouncy today. Obviously, leading up to Radford, I wouldn't say they were bouncy. I made them be bouncy that week. They'll be bouncy though, because I think it's. I told them when we started this, I said, look, this tournament can be a lot of fun if you get going in it and you start to believe in each other and you really start to think you're going to play well. It can really be a lot of fun. And when I said, look, it's going to be fun, and I think they'll be bouncy in that sense. So we'll still do our thing. We play our music when we stretch. We try to keep it light, but we got to. I got to make sure they know it. We got to make sure we understand what Villanova is going to do, because they'll make you look silly if you don't know.
And sort of springboarding off that, I know you're still focused on winning many more games this year, but how does this help you for next year, especially with some of your younger players and players you've been trying to lead along into doing things your way this year?
Yeah, I haven't thought too much about next year. I keep going there, and I have to put it on pause. But no, I think it's good. I think any postseason experience, I think is good. I mean, thank God. I think playing at home is an awesome thing. Even though I saw the numbers, 1,600 is not the greatest number in the world, but I thought the crowd was into it. I thought the crowd was loud, and I think any experience you get it just helps you. And I think every game we play and the experience, like now we're going to have to play a Villanova team that's tough and find a way to win. There's going to be some fun games out there if we can continue to win. But I think it helps them immensely to have this experience and gone through all we've gone through so far this year.
I guess, and then talk about your other freshman, Kamaya. Particularly Virginia, I noticed they were really attuned to what Kamaya likes to do. Like, she would drive the baseline. They were there. I think you tried the lob play twice, and they did a good job. Sorry,
we had it the first time.
Can you guys describe the evolution in her game now that teams are starting to focus in on her a little bit more and taking away some of the things that made her so successful early on?
Yeah, and you know what I love about her right now is that I think there was a time period where she felt like it was easy, and it came really easy to her. And now, okay, yeah, the scout's out on you. You like to go right. You like to have the ball on the dribble. You don't like to just rip from your hip. And so, I think as a freshman, if it comes easy for you, there's this resonating feeling like I got this and I don't have to work. Well, no, you got to work. You got to keep evolving, or they're going to get you. And I thought they did a good job on her. I thought she handicapped herself a little bit too. I thought she had the corner a couple times and stopped. And I want her to be a little bit more little bit more out of control almost, where she's trying to get to that corner and turn the corner on that player and force them to block charge call. And I think she can do that. I think she's holding herself back a little bit, just seeing bodies in front of her. But she was one I particularly pushed in the game. Just, you got to unleash this thing, man, because I thought everybody knew we were going to Precious, but when they take Precious away, they're going to. Somebody else got to make a play, and her jumper was very timely and very crucial for us to get the victory. If we didn't have that, do we win? But I'm glad because she's realized she does need to work on her game a lot, and she needs to expand it, and she needs that little mid-range. She needs a little mid-range touch shot that I think she's got, but she doesn't use enough. She's got to continue to be aggressive, and I thought she did a good job in the Radford game. I thought they were packing the paint, but she created shots for other people, and that's, if you can't get to the paint, you should be giving somebody a wide open three, and I think she did that, and she's starting to do that more. But her mentality has been impressive over the weekend.
And then Savannah, I mean, what differences did you see between Thursday, or I guess Friday and Sunday? Because it seemed like she couldn't use that sort of rangy athleticism nearly as well Sunday.
Well, yeah, it's no disrespect to Radford, they don't have the same athletes that Virginia has, and I didn't think Savannah was as bad as her stat sheet shows. I thought she got her hands on a couple different balls, but she didn't come up with a strong rebound. And I thought it was just maybe the moment overwhelmed her a little bit. I don't exactly know, but I thought that'd be pretty difficult for her to get another double performance. Just because different level of athleticism, different level of strength, and she's now just sent out a red alert on what she's capable of doing. So, as much as Mike McGuire was yelling at Radford to box her out, that's in the game. It's too late. Virginia now sees that. They talked about her on Saturday and to get a body on her. So, again, I think it's just the challenge of being a good player. I mean, that's why I'm so impressed with Precious all the time, is that everybody knows what she's going to do, and she continues to do it. So, again, challenge for her to continue to get better.
Speaking of P, I mean, have you seen a different level of focus with her now in the past week than maybe what you saw towards the end of February, beginning of March?
I've seen this level of focus, so I can't say a different level. I think the difference is that there's no reason not to be focused, because it could be your last. Anytime you come out there, it could be your last at this point. So I think she's really enjoying it. I think it's a let it fly mentality. That part's been very enjoyable to watch for me.
Anything else, gentlemen? All right, thank you very much, Coach O'Regan.
Appreciate
Best
it, guys.
of luck, the Dukes and the Wildcats of Villanova. Third round WNIT, Thursday night, JMU Convocation Center. Doors will open at 6. Tip-off shortly after 7. You can see it on Matazone HD Sportsnet. You can also hear it through the JMU Sprint broadcast network. Stand by in just a moment. We'll have Shelley Clays-Balkin of JMU Women's Lacrosse in just a moment.